Good morning, folks. Good morning, Mr. Hartwig.
Good morning.
We appreciate you coming in today. I appreciate you coming in today. It is nice to see our school families again. We are, Mrs. Thoreau, you don't have any bingo people yet, do you? That's sad. Mrs. Thoreau is going to speak to you in short order. She'll be talking about Girl Pioneers, which will be starting up again. We're basically this morning just going to go through the orientation or registration packet. I've gotten a few very good questions already about some of the content in it. You're going to notice that if you registered online in the PowerSchool InfoSnap portal, that a lot of the information that we're requesting from you right now is redundant. We are hopeful. Mrs. Surian, our secretary, has been terrific this summer of kind of auditing our different forms and trying to piece them together as much as possible. Our hope is that hopefully next year already, we'll be able to eliminate the vast majority, if not all, of the paper forms so that it's all on that InfoSnap deal. This year, just because I want to err on the side of caution, I'm going to ask that you fill out all of that information, even though it's going to be redundant in many cases. On the bright side, it'll give you something to do during this meeting. So. I will give a hot dog to whoever can tell me our theme first for this year. Nice job, Lisa. You get a hot dog. I don't like hot dogs. Pastor Yankee has selected this theme. If you have students at WLA, you know that that's their theme too. It's the theme for all of our association schools in the area. I think it's a brilliant theme, especially this year because, as you all are aware, the world around us is kind of sideways in a lot of ways. Politicians have turned a virus into a political thing, maybe not. A virus has definitely flip-flopped the way that people have defined normal in the world. Sometimes the medical leaders, sometimes educational leaders, sometimes whatever type of leader has seemed to show very clearly in the last 16 months that maybe they aren't infinite in their wisdom, and maybe they aren't much of an anchor for you to hold on to and depend on when life gets confusing. So it is thrilling that we have this passage, we have this hope in this Jesus, this anchor that we can every single day in our school once again lead your children back to again and again and again. Even as everything else in the world seems awfully confusing from time to time, Jesus is the same yesterday and today, forever. He still is the one that calms the seas. He still is the one that heals. He still is the one that comforts. He still is the one that even defeats sin and the gates of hell. So we have that anchor. We look forward to sharing that with your students this year. In addition, just one quick thing before we get to packets. We have a few scheduling changes this year with teachers in different classrooms. If you've done visits with your teachers, you've probably heard about them. If not, it'll be a surprise as the year begins. It'll be great. Throughout the school year, though, if you have any questions for any of our teachers, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact us. We are, again, very happy to partner with you, to work together with you on behalf of our children. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Thoreau, is she here yet? Uh-oh. Kathy, are you in the room? There she is. Kathy's got to get to bingo, so I'm going to let her talk first. Kathy, can you come up? You can steal my microphone and then you can talk about it.
I think I'll, Mr. Good morning. Thank you. We will be starting Girl Pioneers again very soon, and I'm just really enjoy working with the kids and especially seeing them try things that they've never done at home. I know I was looking over some prior years' information, thinking back to when we or cut something and learning some kitchen skills, and it was just such to watch them oh, we made soup. I mean, it was, that was registration forms on the back. I just put them on the back table. So if your daughter would like to be in Girl Pioneers, please fill up a registration form and turn that in. And this year there will not be a registration fee. Since we didn't finish up the year 2 years ago, we have enough funds in there. We don't need any fee for some of the things that we do. If anyone would like to help, I do have on the form a place that you can sign up if you'd like to help just certain months that you'd be able to come and step in. We can always use extra hands. If anyone has any ideas or any particular skills you'd like to share, please do so. My information is on the form. Any questions? Thank you very much.
All right, we will head to the folders then. This is where it gets really exciting. The first form I'd like you to look at is, it says COVID operations for 2021 and 2022. This was a late addition into our folders because for the vast majority of the summer we were operating on a full bore. We're going to move ahead as though life were normal pre-COVID again, and trusting that parents can, of course, make the decisions that they feel are best for their children, whether it's wearing a face mask or otherwise. The last couple of weeks, you've probably noticed in the news that COVID has come back in big fashion, at least as far as the media is concerned. So, we've drafted this plan. I'll be honest, this is a adaptation of WLA's plan. All of our well schools in the area are basically mirror images of each other. And I think our public school might even be leaning toward this direction too, I'm not sure. But we're going to look through this one from start to finish because you might have some questions along the way. So, St. Paul's will begin school as close to normal as possible this coming school year. That is the full intent of our Board of Christian Education. It's the full intent of me. We ask that families continue to storm the throne of God's grace in prayer that we maintain that normalcy throughout the whole year. If there has been anything we have learned over the last 16 months, it's that all plans are subject to change. So we pray that our current plan will be able to remain in effect throughout the academic year. As we explain specific mitigation measures that we will adhere to at St. Paul's Lutheran School, we begin with a basic reminder, and this is important for you folks because I think COVID also took a little bit of your ability to assess your own kids' health at home away from you. But we're asking you to take some of that back. If you notice that your child is sick, keep them home, just like you always would have. If you notice that your child is looking healthy, for the most part, we're going to say send them to school, just like you always would have. So be parents. It's okay to do that. So I lost my thought. All right. We begin with a basic reminder that all parents need to be aware of the health of their children and keep them home if they're experiencing any symptoms that will affect their learning or the learning of others. Certainly keep them home if they are running a fever, just like you would have in the past. Please continue to remind them, and the health department's 24 hours after a fever thing is nothing new. That's always been that way in the past too. So please continue to remind them to wash their hands regularly and cover their coughs and sneezes, just like you would have done in the past. Finally, reach out to the school or the Fond du Lac County Health Department if you have any questions regarding general health or vaccine eligibility. So any questions so far? So like I said, it's basically trying to move to pre-COVID type things of you as parents are intelligent folks, and you know when your child is sick or when they aren't sick, and treat it as such. If you do have questions, of course, you can contact us. So what follows are specific guidelines for unique mitigation areas, masking for students and visitors. St. Paul's is aware of the guidance from the Fond du Lac County Health Department that recommends that masks be worn by students and faculty that are not vaccinated. We also realize that, like any vaccination, it is a personal decision for the family. So that is us kind of washing our hands of any responsibility in it. If you are a parent that feels that your child is safest or best served wearing a mask, we fully support that. If you're a parent that feels that your child is safest and healthiest not wearing a mask, we fully support that too. We ask that as parents you kind of reinforce that notion at home too, that if there is a child that is wearing a mask to school each day, that they are kind to them and vice versa, because the mask directives are coming from their parents at home, so we will respect that. Classroom mitigation, nothing has changed from the past, but now it's written out. A COVID-effective disinfectant and sanitizer will be available for students to use in each classroom. So they'll be able to wash their hands whenever they want and use tissues and wash their hands again. Contact tracing for a school exposure. This is a little bit different than last year. Close contact will be determined by the Fond du Lac County Health Department as test results are communicated. Upon the notice of a positive case from either the family or the Fond du Lac Health Department, our office will gather close contact information from teachers and alert the families of close contacts of the positive case. Parents are expected to monitor the student for symptoms and keep them home if they are sick. Translated, that means that if we were going back in time to like a case of head lice in the classroom, what we would do automatically in a case of head lice is contact our families, everybody in that family that might have been around the head lice area, and say, just so you know, there was a positive case of head lice. We're not going to say who's the positive case. We're not going to say, well, I shouldn't say that. We may or may not say when the case was detected, but we'll say there was a positive case. So now you at home as parents, please keep an eye on your own children to make sure that they aren't experiencing any symptoms. So, and then you as parents can make your best judgment on how to proceed from there. Questions on that? It's definitely different from the majority of last year. What will be a little bit similar to last year is this next part, household close contacts. For all reported positive cases, it will be expected that any household close contacts who are unvaccinated will follow the guidelines for quarantine and return to school. So if you are a family that has more than one child in our school, if one member of your household gets it, then the health department wants, and our well schools are doing that family specifically would keep their children home for like last year's procedures would have done, where you have your few days of waiting and then you can get the test and then hopefully return as quick as can be. So, any questions on that? You guys are agreeable. All right. And then finally, student attendance is our last thing on here. Last year, we basically stopped keeping attendance because we had kids online and kids in school and all of this stuff. It is just my personal conviction and a strong personal conviction that students are best served if they're in the classroom here. So this, again, is right in line with WLA's plan that any student who's not physically attending in person instruction at St. Paul's will be marked absent by the teacher. The one exception to this rule is if it is a health department mandated your home because the health department tells you you can't come to school. But for any other type of thing, it's we will hope that your child is in school. Having said that, in many of our classrooms, we are able now to get the child online. And most of you saw the online learning experience last year. Not as good as in the classroom, but possibly passable. If you know your child is going to be out for multiple days, I don't think I would guarantee this for the first day because it often ends up as a huge scramble for the teacher to get a new system in place at the last minute. But if you know it's a multiple day thing, we should be able to, in most of our classrooms, adapt so that on day 2 and following, we can have that online access to the classroom again. So your child would still be marked as absent because they're not in the building, but they could receive that education. Sound good? All right. The next sheet is front and back sided. This basically tells you that this has been vetted by the Fond du Lac County Health Department. You can read through this on your own, but they have, I think the thing to focus on is on the front page where it says disease prevention practices. They have the lower risk, moderate risk, high risk. This puts us in the high risk category, frankly, but health department sanctioned. So that's where we're at. You can read through that, of course, at your leisure. Okay, that was the hardest part. So we're good from there? Okay. Mr. Loescher, if you want to contact your wife, she can come in any time for her. All right, now we're just going to whip through the folder as I find it in mine. Or not exactly the same because I shuffled. The first sheet I have Mr. Paul instead of Mrs. Firth with our kids. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. Mr. Losher, do you remember? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you know when the band program is beginning? The first lesson will be? All right. We'll let you know. After that, you have maybe, somewhere in your folder, you have an August calendar. August jumps off with a bang. You'll notice, if you're a parent of a 5th or 8th grade student, that we have soccer games right away the first week of school. We had a soccer camp on Tuesday night of this previous week. We had 5 coaches, well, 2 coaches, 3 assistants, and 3 soccer campers. So it takes more than 3 kids for a soccer team. So if you're a parent of a 5th through 8th grade student, and they are even remotely interested in playing soccer, please encourage them to play soccer. Plan B would probably be trying to beg Redeemer or St. Peter's to latch on to them for soccer. Any questions on that? Can we just go to if you have a question, you let me know, and then I'll stop doing that. Okay. The academic calendar is for you in there somewhere as well. You had this emailed to you much earlier in the summer. It's just a hard copy for you at this point. Oh, as I look at that academic calendar, it reminds me of Mrs. Campman. If you look at Mrs. Campman this morning, where are you, Mrs. Campman? Well, Mrs. Campman. When you see Mrs. Campman later this morning, if you see Mrs. Campman, compliment her on her shirt. She's got this nice shirt, and it's got St. Paul's right on somewhere. And she got that shirt from Hoppers. We finally set up an account this summer, and they have our logo now. So you are totally free to bring in your own shirt. You can purchase as cheap or as expensive a shirt as you want from wherever you want. Bring the shirt into Hoppers, and for a pretty small fee, they will imprint it for you, and then you get your St. Paul stuff. If you don't like Hoppers for some reason, I don't know why, because I thought they were very pleasant to work with, we still have our online store option too. I think Hoppers is a much better option personally. But that online option is still available to you if you so desire. I mean live stream, so I shouldn't say that kind of thing. Our online option is also a very good, viable option. The next sheet is cleaning duties, at least in my folder. Some of you have signed up to pay a cleaner, so that's no worries to you, other than it gives you an idea of what the cleaners do, so you know that the money is truly a bargain. Those that are cleaning can have this as a handy reference for when your week comes up. When is your week going to come up, you ask? Or maybe you won't. When is our week going to come up, Mr. Hartwig? If I were in the classroom, the kids would say, never mind. All right, keep going. School cleaning sign-up sheets. I've got some sign-up sheets for you. If you signed up for cleaning yourself, you have first dibs on when you want to do it. So you can sign up for these. Mrs. Holmes, are you here? I did not count how many people signed up for it. Do you think people will need to sign up once or twice or 3 times over the course of the year? Just one for now? Okay. So sign up once. If it's necessary to sign up more than once, we will, Wendy will let you know. But I will put this on the back table so that you can sign up when you leave today. Could you do me a huge favor and run that to the back table for me? Thank you. The next form you have is one of those redundancies that some of you, I think, have already filled out if you did the online application. It's the proof of insurance form. We ask that you fill that in completely. By the way, all completed forms today can go on the table in the back in the plastic bin. Hot lunch program is next in my folder. You'll note that the fee for hot lunch is crossed out this year. The state of Wisconsin, for the entire academic year from start to finish, is making lunches free again, for better or worse. If your child would like extras, there still is that $1.65 fee for that. And there also is the initial, if your child's going to take hot lunch, I believe it's a $15 fee that we ask, which helps pay for all of the consumable materials that Mrs. Berger needs to get over the course of the year. So hot lunch is free. There's, I think, is a hot lunch menu in here too. Thank you, Mrs. Syrian. Mr. Syrian.
Just a reminder though that our milk fees are still separate from our hot lunch.
Correct, yep, and milk is separate from hot lunch, so you have the hot lunch fee, which pays for all of those consumables, all the trays. Milk fee is separate, that pays for milk. The next one I have in mind is a consent form. This one I always ask that you look through carefully because it's a dangerous world out there. This gives you permission, this is you giving St. Paul's permission to publish your child's image online in promotional things, whether it be Facebook, here's what's going on in our classroom, or an advertisement for community outreach or something like that. We will not publish your child's names ever, but this gives you the ability to let us publish their image. If you are not comfortable with that, I'm totally fine with that. Just let us know that you aren't, and then we won't ever publish your child's image online. This next one, you're going to see when the picnic starts, would be a great one to start up again, the Christian Education Society. 2 years ago, we sat through a lot of meetings with a few of you, getting it just about ready to launch, and then COVID hit. So now we're kind of back to square one in some ways. But events like this morning's picnic organization and the lunch would have been perfect for a Christian Education Society. The council at our last meeting okayed another trunk or treat event, which would be perfect for a Christian Education Society. Christian Education Society, by the way, is in other schools I've heard it referred to as a parent-teacher organization or parent-teacher association, same thing. Parent-teacher Christian Education Societies can also be really good for identifying just an educational topic that maybe families would like to go through together, and then organizing, getting a speaker to come in on whatever topic it might be. So I would love, love, love to get this functioning at a high level this year because it would, I think, frankly, there's a lot of things that if I were doing less of it, it would get done much better because you guys can do it better than I can. So. All right. The next thing we have is a student-athlete parental agreement. If your child is sports age, we ask that you sign this and return it after reading it through. Maybe read it through with your child as well. Basically, it reminds you that as parents, you are here to support the coaches, to support the athletes, to support really everything that goes on our fields. Why should I coach?
If sport is fit enough, is that what sport?
Sports, it depends on the sport. Their basketball, we will likely have a C team, which would be probably 3rd grade and up. The vast majority of sports are 5th grade and up. Yes, sir.
Quick question, go backwards on hot lunch, maybe I wasn't paying attention. Is the $10 fee still payable if we owe that $10 initial fee, or is that covered as well?
The $10 initial fee did not come up in any of the registration materials that we,
It says it on a paper, that's,
on this paper. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was
Right, there's an initial $10 fee, so that still does apply. That hasn't been paid.
Okay.
That never comes to me, that always goes to hot lunch. So I've never seen one of those in my 12 years here. But that should be paid every year. Yes, that is still owed.
All right.
Thank you for that question. If any, I forget I'm supposed to be repeating the questions because I'm the only one wearing a mic. So if anybody needs a question repeated, let me know. The next thing we have is our extracurricular handbook. This is an outstanding document to read through on multiple occasions. It lays out all of our sports programs, all of our coaching responsibilities. It's terrific. I won't go through any more on this. I'll leave you in suspense. I should note, as we talk about sports, though, that Mr. Loescher this summer, in realizing that some of our numbers are down for students that are in the upper levels that are interested in sports. So for basketball, that season we we're going to be co-oping with Redeemer, and they are already co-oping with Wacusta. And Wacusta will have very small numbers because they're a smaller school. Redeemer, I think, will have about the same size of numbers on teams that we have, but that was the only way we would be able to actually form teams, which is kind of surprising because that's never been the case here before. But in the big picture, I think that's kind of a neat thing because it'll give our kids here a chance to overlap with kids from other schools and develop those skills. And by golly, it'll be nice to have a normal sports season again.
Will it still be boys and then, boys team and girls team, or will they be what?
It will so we'll still have our same B team, A team setups as in the past. So, and that practice schedule, I think, Mr. Loescher, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it will end up basically being one practice per week is here, one practice per week is there, and we'll split the home games as well. So, the next thing in my folder is the hot lunch schedule for the first month of the school year. Just like in years gone by, you'll probably get another copy of this, I assume, that's got sign-up information on the back. If you're new to this, if you check in with Mrs. Surian or a different family after you get it the first time, they'll be able to help you through. Otherwise, they're just going to say, put your child's name on, the dates that they want to do, sign up for them, and then if they're getting extras, here's how to calculate how much you owe for that. All right. I told you this would be thrilling. How are we doing for time? 10:40. School directory information. This is the information that we ask that you provide so that we can publish a school directory. So if you have 8 different phone numbers, just pick the one that you would like other St. Paul's families to contact you via. So the next one is that I have is our school picture days. This is purely informational for you folks. First one will be September 22nd. Next one will be October 20th. We do have a new vendor this year for our school pictures that will hopefully produce high quality work and timely too. This next one is probably the most important document. Again, it's redundant for those who did the InfoSnap, but I'm going to ask that you play along with me and be redundant just for the sake of caution. This emergency contact form is vital. Technology acceptable use policy. This has not changed in years gone by, so if you are anybody but a 3rd or 4th grade parent, maybe just a 3rd grade parent, you've seen this already. This is a form that we ask you not sign and return today, but you actually do take it home, read through it carefully with your child, because it's a reminder to them that the device at school is not intended to be used the same way the device at home is. So it's not just a video game player or a YouTube movie player or a whatever, it's a school tool. It also has some fun stuff in there about if the child wrecks it, that it's their problem, not school's problem, and all that good stuff. So we ask that you take this home, read through it with your child, have your child sign it, you sign it, and then return it. Medication form is in green. Fill that out if need be, please, and turn it into Mrs. Surian in the office. This email address form is kind of like the annual yearbook form, but this just tells us how to find you quickly so that we, again, are redundant in collecting information and know that we are able to get it to the right place. This also has a thing for the school closing system from North Fond du Lac. Again, we're going to jump on their shoulders for this and include us into their database. So if North Fond du Lac ever closes for inclement weather, we will be closed too. The student immunization record looks updated. It's a new form that we found online because our old one was frankly pretty old. Your doctors might be able to provide this for you. Your doctors will understand it much better than I do too, so when in doubt, check with them. We've also got a cheat sheet for what ages and what vaccinations children should have. All right. This next one's going to be exciting because we've never had it before, even for our returning families. This is a 2021-2022 household application for free and reduced school meals. You might be wondering yourself, why do we need this if all of our meals are free this year? Great question. But the public school asked us to do this anyway, because it has to do with some of the services they provide, like our reading specialists and things like that. They always are able to figure out our cut, for lack of a better term, of that from the overall community's amount of members in free and reduced milk prices. In the past, they've always said, well, this is the overall percentage of people versus the total population, and St. Paul's, if we just cross multiply and divide, would average out to that. This year, they're asking for actual real data. So we ask that you fill this out. It's a government form, so I apologize, and return it to us as soon as possible so we can get that data collected. And for the live streaming purposes, I appreciate our government and all the forms that they give us. It's a great job. The last thing that you have is our school handbook. Again, it is exciting, exciting reading. You can go through it at your own. Nothing has been updated from years gone by, so if you sat through this before, you know what's in there. Several things last year that were thrown off because of COVID should be back to normal now as a result of our school and our world getting back to normal as much as possible. So, Mrs. Loescher will hopefully be in here sooner or later. She was going to speak to you about extended care. There you are. Hi, Mrs. Loescher. All right, Mrs. Loescher.
Good morning. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Abby Loescher. Get used to saying Mrs. I teach preschool here at St. Paul's, and I also I'm kind of in charge of the organizing and billing for extended care. So just a few notes on that this morning. There's a few forms out by the registration table where you found your folders that look like this. This first one is a form to fill out if your child will be using extended care before or after school. There is a backside too, so don't forget that. And then along with this form, we do ask for a $15 registration fee to cover materials, and that's per family. And that can be turned in to Mrs. Surian, and she'll get it to me, or it could be put on my desk. There's also a handbook for extended care. Pretty general things in here. Says things about us closing. If there's no school, there's of course no extended care. For noon dismissals, there's no extended care after that. Typical things for the last few years, nothing really has changed with that. The hours for extended care, we open at 7 a.m. and go until school starts at 8:30, and then also 3:30 until 5:30 in the afternoon. And it's a rate of $5 an hour per child, and I do divide that into like 15-minute increments. I keep track of all of the hours that your children are there, and then I will send home a bill on Mondays for like the week prior to that, and then we ask that is paid by Wednesday of the same week. It can either be dropped off in the preschool room, there's a lock box right inside the door, or it could be handed to whoever's doing extended care when you drop off or pick up in the afternoon. Let's see what else. There may be a few weeks for billing that I will combine if we have like a short week with Thanksgiving or something like that. Even this first week of school, I'll put those first few weeks with the second week to make one less check for you to write. There may be some weeks that's combined, and I'll try to let people know when that's happening so you don't wonder where the bill is. The bill I'll either hand to you when you pick up your child, or I will send it home in your child's backpack if they get picked up at the end of the day. There are a few other teachers helping out with extended care this year, which is awesome. So you can hand them your checks too, but any billing questions that you may have, you can just ask me about that. I'll keep track of those things. And there is a little bit of a change in location this year. We're going to start the morning in the multi-purpose room all the way down the hallway across from the 3rd and 4th grade room. That will be mainly our extended care room, but we'll also spend time in the gym in the morning, outside in the afternoon, and possibly the gym too. So when you bring your child in the morning, they can come to the multi-purpose room, probably drop their backpack off first, and then head that way. But I will have a sign in the school entryway saying where we are in the morning or the afternoon, so that when you come in, you know where to drop off or pick up your child. Any questions anyone has about extended care? I know there was a lot of information in a short time. But thanks for listening. Any questions you have, please feel free to let me know.
So Abby and all of our teachers will be available at the picnic. They'll be pushing the hot dogs on you so that we get rid of them all. 3 quick things before I'm all wrapped up. First of all, there is one change that triggered in my mind at the end of our school year that we're sticking with, at the end of our school day, I'm sorry. Last year I really liked having all of our teachers outside with the kids gathered up so we didn't have a huge swarm of kids. So we're going to end the school day this year like we did last year, where we'll ask that you stay out of the car stalls that are right up against the school building so that our classrooms can assemble in those. That just seems to make it a little bit safer to get kids to their parents' vehicles and stuff like that. And it gives our teachers a chance to connect with you fine folks at the end of the school day. I had 3 things. Mr. Aarons is in the back, so if you're he's the guy in the nice green shirt, aqua, teal. Anyway, he is here because he loves St. Paul's Lutheran School, and he serves on our Board of Christian Education. And if you are one of the few families that still has some paperwork that needs to get finished up, or a financing thing, if you could speak with him, I'm sure he'd be happy to get that finalized with you, so we've got a plan in place for all of our families. I had one last thing, but I lost it. So, that's all I had for you folks. You guys are good listeners. Are there any questions that came up in your head as I was rambling?
I have one question. Are the kids still eating lunch in the classrooms, or are they bringing lunch and eating behind the?
The student body will be, once again, eating entirely in the fellowship hall this year. There might be days where that varies, whether it be a funeral or a wedding or something like that, but for the vast majority of the time, they'll be in the fellowship hall. Parents are certainly invited into the building again this year. You noticed probably that we're having a few grandparents' days and a few parents' days throughout, kind of modified from how we did them in the past, but that's kind of an intentional thing to let people know that you are welcome here. We like having you around as we partner in your education and your child's education. Yes, ma'am. Okay, she asked, the hot lunch schedule starts in September. Is there an August one? The public school doesn't start till September, so there isn't a hot lunch program for us until September. Right, so that first week of school, it will be cold lunches. Good question. All right, you guys are in here, your kids are outside. Normally we would pray as an entire group, but I think if we tried to bring all of the kids in here, it would be a sweaty disaster. Then we'd have all kinds of people waiting. So how about we pray as a group, and then you guys as families, as you gather your kids and collect them, can pray with them as well. Does that sound good? If you guys want to play this strategically and get your food first and then find your kids, feel free. So eat lots of hot dogs. All right, so let's join together in the common table prayer. Come, Lord Jesus, be our guest, and let these gifts to us be blessed. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever. Amen. Any paperwork that you have completed already, again, can go in the plastic bin on the table as you exit.